What is going on, everybody? Tyler Brandt back here with another video, another pregame. I know it feels like 100 years since I've done one of these, but let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about this week's matchup. The 6-4 Arizona Cardinals travel to New England to take on the 4-6, the good guys, the New England Patriots. And this game could be a little dicey, especially with what we saw last week with New England versus Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans. The Patriots, they're going to have their hands full on both sides of the ball. That's a shocker to no one, excuse me. The Cardinals look like one of the best teams in the league, one of the better teams in the league. Offensively, they are really a fantastic team, and Kyler Murray has yet to really take the next steps in his career. He's still growing. He's still a very, very young quarterback. And Cliff Kingsbury is pretty much at this point a very young offensive mastermind. I mean, the way that he uses his offense and what he's comfortable calling, when you really break it down, he hasn't even gotten into the bread and butter of what he's comfortable calling as an offensive coordinator. But that's here nor there. This isn't a Cardinals channel. This is a Patriots channel. So let's talk about the Patriots this week and the game plan against the 6-4 Arizona Cardinals. And again, with the Patriots pretty much clinging to very, very little bit of life for a playoff spot, they got to win this week. They got to win every week out, and they're going to need some help. It's not going to be easy, but they got to get it done, and it starts now. So without any further ado, let's break it down. Let's talk Patriots and Cardinals. So, for starters on the offensive side of the ball, I think the first and foremost, the moral of this game, the moral of this entire week for the Patriots is execution. Executing drives, finishing drives, sustaining drives, executing in every facet of the game and just being overall better, but especially on the offensive side of the ball. Execution is such a big deal for the Patriots this week, and especially in the red zone. They're 24th in red zone efficiency, which is awful for a Bill Belichick coach team. That's just unheard of, and they're 1-4 in game-winning drives. So again, if the red zone efficiency is better and you can finish some drives, especially in some big situations, this season looks a little bit differently, and everything starts to look a little different. The outlook of this entire team is a little bit different. And that's, I think, what separates the great teams this season from some of the middle-of-the-pack teams is executing when you have to. That's what Arizona has done. Look at wins against Seattle, for example, executing late in the game. And that's, of course, what New England hasn't done very well. So the moral of this game, to me, is execution. The Patriots have to finish drives against an offense that is going to score points this week in the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona is a pretty good defensive team. They're about middle of the road. They're very fast and very young on defense for the most part. So I think they're, again, the fast and explosiveness of this defense in terms of running the ball for New England, I don't think they're going to be able to get to the edge very often against this very fast, this very explosive Arizona defense. So a lot of what I've seen and a lot of what I think they're going to do is keep the runs on the interior side of the ball, especially with Isaiah Wynn out. I think it's going to be a lot of, guard traps, guards kicking out and kind of moving into the rotation as soon as the ball snapped. A lot of power runs. Again, really utilizing the interior part of that offensive line, which has been fantastic this season. I think that maybe will help Sony Michel get into the game plan a little bit. However, with that being said, we do know that Damian Harris is the guy this week. He continues to be the guy. He is their lead back, at least for the most part. Love to see a little more of him this week. So, again, a lot of interior runs for the New England Patriots. Don't think they'll be able to get to the edge very much. Hopefully a heavy dose of Damian Harris this week, and maybe a little bit of Sony Michel in there, especially with the injury to Rex Burkhead. In the passing game now, Cam has been good. I will admit I was hard on him, and he has been good, at least statistically. I think executing, again, the moral of really this game plan video, that's where he's missed. He's made a lot of boneheaded mistakes late in games, and he's missed on a lot of throws, especially down the stretch. So, for me, it's execution again this week with Cam Newton. I think he's going to be able to move the ball all over the field. I think we're going to see a lot of play-action passing from New England, a lot of easy throws for Cam, easy completions, easy throws. Jacoby Myers, he seems to be getting comfortable with. Damiere Byrd is a guy that's had a few big games now, is getting comfortable with Cam again. So I do think that we'll see a little bit more of Cam opening it up in the playbook, in the passing game. In terms of Arizona defensively, I think they're going to throw a lot of blitzes. blitzes at Cam Newton. It's a surprise to absolutely no one. Cam, when he's been blitzed, especially late in games on passing downs and on big third downs, he's failed to find the hot read. Not all his fault. Sometimes pass protection has been bad, but he's failed to find the hot read. He's failed to make the big completion when he needed to. So I think we're going to see a lot of blitzing from Arizona, especially in big downs, but hopefully with some good pass protection and some good passing from Cam Newton, play action will sort of neutralize a lot of that heavy blitz that I would expect to see from Arizona. Now, on the defensive side of the ball for the New England Patriots, let's talk a little bit about the Arizona Cardinals offense. First and foremost, to dive a little bit into what I was saying earlier in the video, Cliff Kingsbury is an offensive mastermind. If he's not already, I'm calling him that. He will be soon. His real natural scheme is an air raid offense. He was a Big 12 coach back in college. But it seems like with the personnel he has here, he's been able to line up in 11 personnel, and it's been a ton of zone read, zone option stuff. And Kyler has been excellent at that, using his legs, because I don't think has developed everything he needs as a passer yet, although he's still a very electric passer, and he's able to get the ball down the field, a lot in part to DeAndre Hopkins. So I do think we're still seeing this Arizona game and this Arizona offense evolve. But in terms of what the Patriots should see this week, I think it's going to be a lot of zone schemes, zone reads. It's what they kind of telegraphed on tape. Kyler and Edmonds letting them go to work in the zone rushing game, and then Kenyon Drake just coming in and getting those hard-nosed yards. And even him, Kenyon Drake, who's been kind of a second fiddle to both Edmonds and Kyler Murray. He's been good lately, especially when they need a few yards. He's been their guy. So I'd expect to see him and a heavy dose of that run, that zone read offense that's given defenses fits so far, and then letting Kyler naturally extend the play and make big plays. Again, judging on how they defended Deshaun Watson, I think they're going to have a lot of trouble with Kyler Murray. The interesting thing and the intriguing thing this week is blitzing Kyler Murray and finding ways to get pressure on him, because his numbers do fall greatly when he's throwing under pressure. I believe he has like a 62 completion percentage when he's throwing under pressure. However, an asterisk to that would be cover zero pressure, which New England does like to run. They were very, very efficient in that in 2019 because of how good their secondary was. They don't do it as much this season, but they'll still whip it out every now and then. And that is something maybe they do to draw up pressure. But an interesting asterisk to that is that against cover zero, Kyler Murray is completing nearly 70% of his passes. So I don't think it'll be as simple as scheming up cover zero and really man blitzing everybody. I think it's going to have to be a very complex blitzing package. I think they're going to have to run a lot of stunts with some of these guys down on the defensive line. And I think he's going to have to, Bill Belichick that is, creatively find ways to rush Kyler Murray, because you can't let him extend plays and sit back there. You're going to have to find ways to get pressure on him, which is something New England struggled to do all season against everybody. But we saw with Deshaun Watson last week, especially guys that are getting out of the pocket and extending plays. They've eaten New England alive between not getting pressure and a secondary that, although is still very good, has, in my eyes, largely underachieved this season. This is another game where I think the linebacking core is going to be your kind of a hybrid safety group. A lot of Adrian Phillips, a lot of Kyle Duggar this week. Hopefully Kyle Duggar won't be such a liability, as much of a liability in coverage as he was last week against Houston. But this is going to be a very tough matchup for the New England Patriot defense. Arizona, they're truly an offensive juggernaut. Again, I'm going to beat the dead horse here. Kyler hasn't even scratched the beginning of his surface, and Cliff Kingsbury has been already, again, a mastermind, someone that's been able to craft a very good offense, and he's not even using the offense that he called to get this job in the NFL. So putting that in perspective, New England has their hands full, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to stop Kyler Murray. I'm really not confident. So what to watch for this week in the New England Patriots versus Arizona Cardinals game? First and foremost, we're going to go with something personal, specific to one player in New England, and that's Kyle Duggar in coverage. We know that he's a very good in the box safety, and he's got a ton of very good traits, and he's got a ton of very good instincts, and he's going to be good in the NFL. We know that. He's already put that stuff on tape, but I'm very curious to see him in coverage. He really has been a liability in pass coverage, and I think that this is another week where he's going going to have to play a lot, especially because of how versatile he is and how athletic he is. So I'm very curious to see how he does in coverage. He gave up 70 yards to Jordan Akins, who's like the third-string tight end in Houston last week. It wasn't very good. And again, while the Arizona Cardinals don't have one superstar tight end, they got guys that get open and can score and can, especially in the red zone, make a difference. So I'm very intrigued to see Kyle Duggar in coverage this week. Second thing I'm watching for this week is how the Patriots get pressure on Kyler Murray and how that whole defense really holds up against Kyler Murray. Again, he is really shredding cover zero and man blitzes and 8-man rushing in blitzes. So I'm very intrigued to see what he does and how, A, what he does, and B, how New England schemes to get him some pressure in his face and to make him uncomfortable, because when he is uncomfortable, he is not completing as many passes, obviously, but when he's a little too uncomfortable and he has to beat a man or it's man coverage after a blitz, then he's been able to take advantage of it, especially with the help of DeAndre Hopkins. So I'm very intrigued to see how this defense gets pressure on him. I think they're going to have to get pressure on him and make him uncomfortable for them to stay in this game. And finally, the third thing that I'm watching for this week is, again, execution. Execution, execution, execution. That is the moral of this video from the offense. Red zone efficiency, finish drives. No more offensive holding call and a drive stalls and we punt. There's no more of that. I want to see this team finish drives. I want to see this team put touchdowns up instead of field goals. Nick Folk has been very good. I owe him an apology, but I don't want to see a lot of Nick Folk this week. I want to see drives finished. And at halftime and in the fourth quarter, big drives and big moments that get points to either take the lead or get ahead in the game. They have to execute in big moments. They have to execute in the red zone. That's what I want to see from the entire offense this week. With all that being said, here is my final score prediction for the Arizona Cardinals and the New England Patriots. In this one, I've got the Arizona Cardinals going into Foxborough and beating the New England Patriots 31-23. I don't think the defense will have much of an answer for Kyler Murray. I think we'll see some promising things from the offense, but I just don't know if they'll be able to offensively keep up with the Arizona Cardinals. I think defensively they're a very long shot to stop Kyler Murray. I don't really trust it at this point. So I think Arizona's just they're playing too well. They're coming into this game hot, and I just think they're too good right now. New England is still struggling to figure out how to win games and put wins together. So I think that's going to be the big difference in this one. A lot of momentum Arizona's way, and they leave with a win. They move to 7-4, and I think this will be the win that really kicks New England out of any sort of opportunity for them to make the playoffs. If you are going to bet this game, the Cardinals, I have them from the lines that I've seen. I have them everywhere from a 1.5 favorite to anywhere. I've seen 2.5, 3.5, but I have them officially as a 1.5 point favorite. They are -110 on the money line. The over-under is 49.5. I personally think that 1.5 line, that little bit of an edge, I think that's a little bit disrespectful to the Cardinals. I could see them winning this game by a touchdown. I don't think that's crazy at all. So if I'm putting my money on this game, I'm betting Cardinals -1.5. I think they blow through that spread. And who knows, I think the over hits too in this game. I'd probably throw a little bit of money on the over there. But that's where I'm putting my money in if I'm betting this game, excuse me. And again, I have the Arizona Cardinals winning 31-23 over the Patriots. That is going to wrap up this pregame video of the Arizona Cardinals and the New England Patriots. Once again, I'm Tyler Brandt. Happy to be back here again. Sorry for my little hiatus there off the channel, but I'm back creating content, and I love that you're here with me if you're watching this. Follow me on Twitter at the Tyler Brandt. Follow me on Instagram at Talking Pats. We're going to be chopping it up football all day. Until next time, I'm Tyler Brandt, and I'll talk to you in the next video.